If you find it gratifying to see elected Republican bullies and hypocrites be called out in public by Democratic superstars, look no further than the recent hearing of the House Oversight Committee, in which AOC and Jasmine Crockett put Donald Trump and the Republican Party in general on blast. And for bonus, you can watch the snowflake Marjorie Taylor Greene get very upset about it in the hearing and then afterwards on Twitter. But before we unpack all that, if you haven't yet, please hit that like, subscribe, and the alert bell. All right, folks, I've got a few clips to play here, but I want to set the stage. Currently, the House Oversight Committee is led by Republicans, at least for the time being. And when Republicans are not trying to impeach the president for absolutely no reason whatsoever, they're hyper-focused on delivering materially beneficial results for the American people and their constituents. I'm kidding, of course not. What they're focused on are niche culture war issues, which produce absolutely no material benefit for the vast majority of Americans and really seek to hurt marginalized groups, for example, the trans community. And so naturally, this hearing that we're talking about concerned transgender athletes and Title IX. I believe that was the title of it. And yet, we don't know exactly how many trans athletes there are in this country. It's not like, we're keeping a running tally. But most medical experts say it's probably about 100. In a country of 330 million people, we're talking about 100 trans athletes. Athletes who are part of a community that are already marginalized and receive hyper-fixation from the Republican Party and the right in the worst possible way. A marginalized group which experiences heightened degrees of self-harm and suicidal ideation. Basically, some of the last people on earth who need that sort of negative attention from powerful elected Republicans. And of course, powerful elected Republicans go, nailed it. These are the people we need to be focused on. So with that in mind, I want to play some clips. We're going to start with AOC. Because again, the way Republicans talk about this with respect to trans people, they try to couch it in the language of, we're just trying to protect women. And AOC really shuts that down very quickly.
And so we're supposed to sit here on this side of the dais and to Ranking Member Lee's point, see a party that has voted against women's access to abortion, voted against our right, the Lilly-led Better Equal Pay Act, voted against the Violence Against Women Act, voted against our right to have access to contraception, and also doesn't even vote for equal funding, equitable funding in women's sports. And I'm supposed to believe that this is who's looking out for my best interests? I think not. And to that, I yield back.
Well said. You can't take anything Republicans say seriously with respect to the idea that they're just trying to protect women when their legislative history as the Republican Party, and certainly just as the broader conservative movement, indicates otherwise. But AOC is not the only superstar in this hearing. You also have freshman Democratic Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett of Texas. She's a former prosecutor. I think she was a civil rights attorney as well. She's awesome. She's incisive. She's incendiary. She's provocative in the best possible way, and she's really good at putting Republicans in their place. So in this clip I'm about to show you, she's addressing one of the Republican witnesses from the Heritage Foundation, which is this dangerously right-wing think tank that, as we speak, is crafting together the Project 2025 plan to try to overthrow the Democratic Republic and install the next Republican president as this, boundless checklist dictator. Keep that in mind as we play this clip, and pay attention for Marjorie Taylor Greene's outburst.
It looks like to protect women in this country. When lawmakers like this are so far out of touch with what women need, we see states pushing back, at least states that will allow you to push back. I'm from the state of Texas, and of course, they don't want you to ever have an opportunity to raise your voice in the state of Texas. In fact, Ms. Perry, I know your organization, the Heritage Foundation, loves Texas. Ooh, they love Texas. They always sending us some nonsense bills that somehow set this country on the wrong trajectory. They send them to Texas. They send them to Florida. Every deplorable state that we can think about, they usually coming out of y'all's think tank. But nevertheless, when we talk about protecting women, what we've seen is, say, in the state of Ohio was one of the most recent states when their lawmakers didn't have the courage to do what they needed to do because, of course, we believe in gerrymandering. And because we believe in gerrymandering in this...
Point of order. I moved to strike her words. I moved to strike her words, deplorable states.
That's not a point of order. Let the gentlelady proceed.
The committee will suspend. Whoa, 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 whoa. The committee will suspend. Just hold, slow.
This is Marjorie Taylor Greene getting very upset.
What do I say?
Strike deplorable states. Strike that phrase from the record. It's so offensive. And that's Jasmine Crockett laughing because she's right. And Jamie Raskin was right too. He was the one who said it's not a point of order. You know they're just scrambling to find some justification to grant
So I'm
Greene.
prepared to rule, this is not a statement, a deplorable state is not a statement against a person, or it is not engaging in personalities. So I'll continue and you can reclaim your time.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
So, of course, that's funny because Marjorie Taylor Greene, who is one of the most offensive, combative people in Congress, in addition to being a conspiracy theorist and a MAGA cultist, is clutching her pearls. How dare you refer to deplorable states? Now, before I go on, I want to say that apparently Jasmine Crockett meant to say deplorable bills. So she said Florida and Texas, any deplorable bill seems to be coming out of your think tank. And what she said is any deplorable state seems to be coming out of your think tank. She just misspoke in the heat of the moment because otherwise the sentence doesn't make any sense. However, Marjorie Taylor Greene, after being overruled because she doesn't know what she's talking about, because she doesn't understand the rules, because she's not a serious legislator like most Republican elected officials, Democrats being infinitely superior with respect to seriousness and an understanding of procedure, she then took to Twitter to complain. She says, Jasmine Crockett just did her best Hillary Clinton impersonation, insulted half the country by calling red states deplorable states. Now, the reason that I don't take this seriously is stuff that we've talked about in the past, which is Marjorie Taylor Greene insults blue states all the time. As a matter of fact, she hates blue states so fiercely, she has publicly called for a national divorce at least twice. Okay? But she's clutching her pearls because in a moment of misspeaking, Jasmine Crockett said deplorable states. But let's even take that out of the equation. Let's assume that Jasmine Crockett did indeed intentionally refer to red states as deplorable. Who cares if you set the tone for the discourse, Marjorie Taylor Greene? Donald Trump has insulted blue states and blue cities. So has Jim Jordan. So has Matt Gaetz. So has virtually every radical elected Republican. And when blue states are insulted or blue cities are insulted, none of you step up and say, you know what, that's going too far. You can't insult half the country. You all insult half the country, or more than half the country, all the damn time. But this goes back to the asymmetry of expectation, the sense of entitlement. This is how bad the Republican Party is. They expect to be graded on a curve. Now, we can insult whoever we want, but you all can't do it in return. It's insane. It's so pathetic, and we have to mock it. We have to constantly check it and mock it and insult it and belittle it in the consistent, most bullying ways. We have to remind these elected Republican officials that there is one standard for all conduct. And if you want to call out what you perceive to be uncivil behavior on the left and among Democrats, that's fine, but you're obligated to hold your own accountable, and you're obligated not to engage in uncivil behavior yourself. Jasmine Crockett went to Twitter afterwards, says, so the MAGAs think MTG is so amazing, right? To be clear, the senior member from Georgia was wrong. It's a bad day when the Republican chair has to rule in my favor. Learn the rules before trying to check me. And then the last thing I'll point out is another clip from Jasmine Crockett in the same hearing in which, because I mentioned in the beginning, she also put Donald Trump on blast. This is what she had to say with respect to Donald Trump and the Republican Party's claim to be interested in protecting women.
All right. So most everyone up here on the other side of the aisle has endorsed a person that has been found liable for sexual abuse of women to be our president of the United States. But we are going to talk about how this party is going to protect women.
It's absolutely true. Donald Trump was found liable for sexual abuse just a few months ago in the E. Jean Carroll case, which occurred, I mean, the incident itself occurred in the 90s. She successfully sued him. And if we're going to really get technical, the judge clarified when Trump tried to get the penalty reduced in terms of the dollar amounts that he has to provide. The judge clarified, in terms of common parlance, the way that we use this word every day as people, the jury found that Donald Trump raped E. Jean Carroll. In terms of a matter of civil law, he was found to be liable for sexual abuse, right? Because New York penal law requires more than just digital penetration, which is what Trump was found guilty or found liable of doing to E. Jean Carroll back in the 90s. But the judge actually makes it explicitly clear, listen, when people go out and say, and when E. Jean Carroll goes out and say, yes, Donald Trump is a rapist, it's true. So, food for thought. This is who the front runner for the Republican Party is, and yet the Republican Party says, just without a hint of irony, that they're the ones defending women. Doesn't seem to be congruent with their behavior. So, with all this in mind, let me know what you think in the comments.